Good evening, everyone. I call the Marlington Local School District Board of Education regular meeting to order on Thursday, December 16th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The reading of the mission statement will be by Dr. Scott Mason.
In collaboration with staff, community, parents, and students, the Marlington Local School District will develop lifelong learners who understand and apply knowledge and demonstrate excellence in pursuing the highest standards with effective intervention to challenge every student.
Thank you. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Dr. Main, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gabrick?
Here.
Mr. Hagan? Mrs. Humphries?
Here.
Dr. Mason?
Here.
Mr. Mish?
Here. Is there a motion for the Marlington Local Board of Education to adopt the following agenda for the regular meeting, December 16th, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections?
I've got one correction tonight. In your policy portfolio, policy PO 5722, which is the school-sponsored publications, we need to pull that one tonight. I need to have some more discussion with our administrators. This policy got a lot more complicated lately, so that one, if we could pull. And then also policy 145. Were you going to talk about that one, or do you want me to?
Yes. Policy 145, filling a board vacancy, that will be voted on as a revised policy, and I'll read the revisions when we get to the policy section.
That's all I have.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the agenda with policy number 5722 pulled from the policy section and policy 0145 added as a revision?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the corrections? Please call the roll on the corrections to the agenda.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Motion.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
0.
Go ahead. The motion on the floor then is the motion to adopt the agenda as corrected with those two corrections. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved 4-0.
Special presentations.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We have some students to honor this evening. Well, first we will honor our students of the month from each school building, and then if you would let the video roll.
Hello, I'm Mike Farrell, high school principal, and I'm here with Madison Wade to recognize her as one of our Elks Student of the Month at the high school. Madison is the daughter of Dave and Heidi Wade. She has been a member of Character Counts Club for 4 years, is a member of Duke Crew, National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, a Duke News anchor, and Duke Pound leader. Madison is a 4-year letter winner and captain on the varsity volleyball team. She is an assistant volleyball coach at Nova in Akron, Ohio, and volunteers with the Marlington Youth Volleyball Program. After high school, Madison plans to continue coaching while studying psychology in college to learn more about mental health. She also plans to continue her love for filming and editing fun, relatable videos. Madison is an amazing student, athlete, and role model here at our school. Her work ethic in the classroom and in her athletics is second to none. In the classroom, she is highly organized and always has her assignments done completely, neatly, and on time. She is not afraid to go above and beyond what is asked of her to further her learning. She is self-motivated and a hard worker. Out of the classroom, she is an exceptional role model for her peers. She is a leader in our school and is admired not only by our students, but by the staff. She is a person of character and integrity and is extremely deserving of this award. It is my honor to present Madison the Certificate of Award as the Elks Student of the Month at Marlington High School. Congratulations, Madison.
Thank you.
Hello again. I'm now joined by Noah Grant, and he is being recognized as our other Elks Student of the Month at the high school. Noah is the son of Melissa Graham Perkins and Josh Perkins. He is a member of National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and a Duke Pound leader. Noah is a captain and four-year letter winner on the 2021 state champion cross-country team and was the 2021 state runner-up as an individual. He is a captain and four-year letter winner on the varsity track team and has received academic All-Ohio and academic All-Conference honors in both sports. Noah loves all things running. He plans to continue his running and academic careers in college while studying exercise science to pursue a career as a physical therapist. Noah is an exceptionally hard worker in class. He strives to do the very best that he can on every assignment placed before him. He is extremely intelligent and enjoys learning new material. He is respected by both the staff and his fellow classmates here at Marlington High School and is considered a leader in the classroom and on the athletic field. It is my honor to present Noah the Certificate of Award as Elk Student of the Month at Marlington High School. Congratulations, Noah.
Good evening. I'm here with our 8th grade Students of the Month for the middle school. First up is 8th grader Megan Kirby. Megan is the daughter of Jennifer and Tony Kirby. Her favorite classes are art and math. Calligraphy is her favorite part of our class. She plays soccer for Marlington Select and will play high school soccer for the Lady Dukes next school year. Megan has been an active member of Girl Scouts for the past 8 years, and she's a member of the St. Joseph's Catholic Church. Megan's teachers had this to share about her. Megan is such a delightful young lady. She is a hard worker who brings a positive attitude to class each day. Megan is a very nice girl who always does great work and always has it done on time. Megan Kirby has amazing work ethic. You can always count on her to have her work completed and have gone the extra mile to make sure it's her best work. She is trustworthy, caring, and respectful to her peers and adults. Any teacher would be lucky to have Megan in class. Great job, Megan. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Our next student of the month is Bryson Jones. Bryson is also an 8th grader. He's the son of Andy and Robin Jones. His favorite class is Algebra 1. Bryson's a busy young man as he plays football, basketball, baseball, and runs track. His family is big Browns fans, and he enjoys going to training camp in the summer. Bryson's teachers had the following to share. Bryson is always well prepared for class. He participates well, and he's a positive influence on those around him. He's a talented student, but he is successful because of his great work ethic. Bryson Jones sets a great example for his classmates with his leadership and work habits. Bryson's a top-notch student. He's a true leader and role model in the classroom, always willing to help his fellow classmates and teachers alike. Bryson has a great personality and work ethic and is a joy to be around. And lastly, Bryson is very respectful with his peers and adults. He works hard in class and always brings a smile. We appreciate everything he brings to the table. Congratulations. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Hello, my name is Ashley Weber, Lexington Elementary, and I'm here with our Kiwanis Student of the Month, Jace Pipus. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jace according to his teachers. Jace is top-notch. He is always prepared for the day, ready to volunteer or ask questions for clarification. Jace is also a wonderful example of our student council representatives here in Lexington. His favorite subject in school is math. And Jace has a mom, a stepdad, 2 brothers, and one sister. A thing he likes to do with his family is travel and play family games. What kind of games?
Just like board game, Monopoly, maybe sometimes, I forget what it's called. It's called Candy, I forget, Candyland.
Candyland, excellent. So we are very proud of Jace here at Lexington Elementary. He is our Kiwanis Student of the Month, and we just want to wish him well, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Good evening, Marlington community. I'm Mrs. Moore, I'm the principal at Marlboro Elementary, and it is my pleasure to introduce to all of you our December Kiwanis Student of the Month, Caitlin Fairby. Some things about Caitlin from her teachers. Katie has the ability to maintain a calm attitude while striving for her best and encouraging the same of her classmates. She is a loyal friend and an honest student. She exemplifies the characteristics of Duke Pride expectations by bringing her best self to class each day. She isn't afraid to ask questions and get to work. We're very proud of Katie and all her hard work this fall. She sets a great example for the students at Marlboro Elementary. Congratulations, Katie. Some other things about Katie. Her favorite subject in school is science. She lives with mom, dad, brother, sister, and 2 dogs. When she grows up, she wants to be a nurse, and she would like to visit Los Angeles. And in her free time, she likes to ride 4-wheelers with her family. So at this time again, I say congratulations, Katie. December Kiwanis Student of the Month.
Good evening, Mr. Spaniel here, Principal of Washington. I'm with our Student of the Month, Carissa Miller. A couple things about Carissa. She was chosen for this award from her teachers because Carissa is a great student and a kind person. She has a great heart and she always takes care of other people who are in her class. A couple things about Carissa. Her favorite subject is math. She lives at home with her mom and her dad and her 3 siblings. Her oldest sister is in college in South Carolina. Her second oldest sister is 16, and she has a little brother at home that is 2.5. She also has a cat and a dog. Interesting about Carissa, when she grows up, she'd like to be an architect and an interior designer and create rooms and houses. She'd also like to travel to Hawaii one day. Carissa's biggest hobby is dance. When she dances, she does ballet, contemporary, lyrical, and point shoe preparation, so she stays awfully busy. Congratulations, Carissa. Job well done.
Thank you.
Dr. Mike, I just want to say a few words before we move on to the next
Okay.
section. I'd asked for this a change to the agenda ahead of time, but in order to make the meeting run more smoothly, and we weren't able to get that done. So I'm going to make a motion to postpone the recognition of the cross-country team until an ongoing police investigation has been completed that may result in potential charges being filed against one or more of our athletes for crimes committed in our community against me, Mrs. Millard, Mr. Horniak, Mr. Cowles, our campaign donors, and several community members. Although I'd like to recognize these athletes for their abilities and their accomplishments, now is not the time for such recognition, as each athlete who was involved should first be held accountable for their actions. Is there a second? The motion will die for lack of second.
I'm sorry.
Motion will die for lack of second.
Okay. We are going to. Yeah. We are going to.
The cross-country
We will.
recognition will take place at this time. Dr.
Okay, to begin, thank you to the friends and family that have gathered here, community members, to recognize our cross-country team. It's my understanding that this is the first time we've had a men's team from Marlington High School win a state championship. And before I bring the young men up, I would like to say that, I've mentioned this to each of these young men in a letter. Lots of people have supported these young men, community, coaches, but your moms and dads have really supported and have really made sacrifices for you as well. So just quickly, could we give a hand for the moms and dads? Thank you. And how I would like to proceed, I would like to call each name of each young man, and then I'm going to ask you guys to come up. Liam Blake, Noah Graham, Cohen Boyce, Nash Minor, Colin Cernansky, Lucas Ryan, Michael Nichols, and Gavin Lauder. Come on up, boys, guys. And then also, I saw her, if Coach Melissa Graham Perkins would come up also. Coach? I would invite, if you're comfortable coming, board members, if you'd like to come around, I know their backs. So, just one more time, we are incredibly proud of you guys. This is a monumental moment at Marlington High School. And I'm going to let Coach Miller, our athletic director, Steve Miller, say a couple words. I wanted to just quickly let you know, and this is starting to sound almost funny to us, but we ordered them state patches, I think the day after the meet, and they must be on that slow boat from China because they didn't get here, and the banners did not get here either, but our banners are coming. So Steve Miller, our athletic director, would you like to say some words?
Yeah, our banners will be here shortly, hopefully, but like everything, I think we're behind the times. I can tell you this, people make fun of me that I'm always here, but there's rarely a time, especially over the summer, that I've driven here or driven home, and I haven't seen these guys run. They put the work in. I remember talking to some of them. They enjoyed each other. They enjoyed the work, and it proves to you what you can do when a team comes together, works hard, does all the right things, and I'm very proud of them. They do it in the school too. Their grades are off the charts. They have it all together. So a round of applause for our 2000.
All right, thank you. That's why I don't make big comments. Gentlemen and parents, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to take off at this time. It's totally up to you. Okay. Next.
Public participation, do we have anyone that signed up for public participation?
Yes. We have Mary Sherman of 9501 Beeson Street. Her topic is recognition of outgoing board members.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Mary Sherman, and I wanted to be here tonight to thank Carolyn Gabrick for her 16 years of dedicated service to the Marlington Local School District. Carolyn has served on this board with a quiet determination. She's never raised her voice, never been antagonistic or arrogant. Actually, I heard of Carolyn before I met her from my mother-in-law, Betty Sherman. Betty worked as a custodian at the high school for almost 38 years. When my husband and I would visit her, we would do what everyone does, talk about what was going on at work. My mother-in-law always talked about Carolyn. She would see her many nights at the high school because Carolyn was always attending student events. Carolyn would stop and talk with the custodians, ask how they were doing, how things were going at work, what a great job they did. When my mother-in-law had surgery, Carolyn sent a card. My mother-in-law said the other board member who would stop and talk with them was Tom Hipley. When I met Carolyn in 2017, She was everything my mother-in-law said she was, an exceptionally kind and caring person. I'm extremely proud to have worked with Carolyn the last 4 years. Even though Carolyn was on the board for many years, she never stopped learning. On September 3rd of last year, Carolyn was presented with 2 awards from the Ohio School Boards Association. The first award presented was the Service Award, which is given to school board members with 10 years of service and more at 5-year increments. Carolyn was awarded a 15-year certificate. Out of the 225 school districts in the Northeast region, less than 10 15-year certificates were awarded. Carolyn also received the Award of Achievement. This award is a point system for board members who participate in events at the local and state level and take continuing education classes. Carolyn has always taken her position as a board member very seriously, regularly attending seminars made available to school board members through the OSBA. Mr. Contepelli, who presented the award to Carolyn, made it clear just what a feat the Award of Achievement is, as well as the rarity of school board members who complete the requirements for the award. And I quote, "Out of my region, I had only 10 board members out of 225 districts, and Carolyn was one out of maybe about 50 board members statewide. Not many board members can get to this level." And finally, on behalf of my granddaughter Carly, I would like to thank Carolyn and Josh for keeping their campaign promise. They reopened Marlboro and repaired the elementary schools. Carly was extremely happy to go back home to Marlboro. Carolyn, you're a class act, and you have served on this board with the highest professionalism. I know that whatever you decide to do next, you will have just as much success. I wish you the best of luck.
Just one.
Old business, tax levy, turn that over to Dr.
Okay.
Dr. Mike.
Good evening again, everyone. So I believe from the first time I sat down with the board, I think that was May or June of 2020, I talked to the board about the financial situation of the district and lent them some of what I felt was my expertise. And I've been talking to the board about the need for a tax levy. As you know, the way things work in Ohio is our tax levies generally, our funds do not grow with inflation. And the last time Marlington passed new money was almost 20 years ago. That's quite a feat. I know it's misunderstood. It's been 3 times declared unconstitutional by the Ohio Supreme Court, and nothing has been done with it. So here we are. This is an Ohio issue, but it's also a Marlington issue. So at this time, we've had conversation, as many of you that have watched our board meetings know. There are several different kinds of levies that can be put on the ballot. And we have had our Forecast 5 person, our treasurer. I've talked a little bit about where we are with finances, our 5-year forecast. And for me, I believe that you have probably one of 2 options, and that would be what we call an emergency levy. An emergency levy is a dollar amount, and we, from all of our sources that we've consulted, they believe we need somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.5 to $4 million just to continue, more per year, just to continue to operate. An emergency levy, the dollar amount at $4 million, would translate roughly into 8 mills. And I suggested to the board that that be a 5-year levy. And that would allow us to just be status quo. The board has every right to make it more than that. I've talked over our time together about what $6 million a year could do for us, what $8 million a year could do for us. We are among the lowest paid teachers around. We have lots of improvements we need to make. We'd like to add some programs to our high school, and the list goes on. The other side of things, I've talked to the district or to the board a little bit about an earned income tax. An earned income tax is a tax that's paid on earned money. It does not so much affect retirees, farmers. It doesn't affect certain assets that people have. It would take about a 1.25 earned income tax to get the $4 million per year. Those are the options. Northwest is the only district in Stark County that has an earned income tax. So I have some familiarity with that process and with that type of levy. It is different. It is somewhat new to the state of Ohio, newer than some of the other routes that we can take. And of course, we're going to open up for discussion and questions. The reason I put both of these options on here is it takes 2 readings to place a tax levy on the ballot. To have something on the ballot in May, we have to follow a calendar backwards, and we have to be ready 90 days ahead of the election. So the first reading pretty much would have to be tonight. The good thing about the first reading is I kind of tell people this is a placeholder. You're saying we are planning to place a levy on the ballot in May. When May, you could vote for one of these, both of these, neither of these. And then when the next board meeting rolls around, then whatever you vote on, we will have certified. When the next board meeting rolls around, then the board can make the decision. They can change the amount. They can change the time limit. They can change it to one or the other. So that's a little bit how that process works. So most of you are familiar with that, but that's just a little bit about how the process goes. So do you have, and then of course Patty is more our financial expert. So we are open to your questions, and I'm sure if you want to have a discussion also, we are open to that.
I appreciate that they're both offered here on, so that we can discuss it and look into this. It's my opinion that with 3 new board members coming on in January, it is, good to have this placeholder and go from there. We will have to advocate for support and, make the campaign with the community. So I appreciate this.
Thank you. Are there other questions, discussion?
I'll just have a discussion. So far, we have no idea of what the new board's intention is for the millions of dollars that you're asking us to put a placeholder on. So that makes it extremely difficult. The financial 5-year forecast reported a balanced budget and a 1.2 million surplus on June 30th of this year, and that was following 5 previous years of deficit spending. So we are, as of June, we're in much better shape than we were the last 5 years as far as the balance. And this figure is without the $4 million of the ESSER 3 fund revenue that's being received this fiscal year. And the current fiscal year is reporting deficit spending of only $480,000, which might seem, with a little planning, that perhaps that could be erased or at least diminished. The other considerations are at least 50% of the Nexus pipeline revenues have not been received due to Nexus challenging the assessed value of the pipeline. The next hearing for that is to occur in February, and a decision could be made in the near future. To date, Marlington has received approximately $2.8 million of Nexus fund revenues into the capital projects funds, plus $120,000 into the permanent improvement. So at least that much more money is owed but not received by Marlington. And these additional Nexus revenue payments could create a substantial windfall of revenue to Marlington without having to pass the tax levy. And while it's tied up in court, the amount owed to Marlington will continue to accrue and grow. Once the courts have made a favorable ruling, the amount owed would be received, plus full revenue payments would be ongoing. it seems reasonable that a substantial additional amount of this revenue will be collected. The other sources of revenue is Samsung has plans to build an 800-acre solar farm within the Marlington School District with construction to begin in 2024. The project will create substantial tax dollars for Marlington without having to pass a levy, and Samsung will be providing those projected local revenue figures as early as April 2022, which is just this coming April. So you'll have figures then to rely on. Financial consultant Ryan Gazzoni recently announced that Marlington's getting close to the 20 mil floor and would approach that in the near future. And this would create an inflationary increase on these mills that have been previously voted in. OSBA seminars explain how reaching the 20 mil floor creates an on-voted tax increase for the residents and the district, which could be as much as 2 or 3 mills. So that would be a good figure to get and find out how much increase you would have if you hit the 20 mil floor and when you're actually anticipating hitting that. Earlier this year, Dr. Schruffler stated he could cut approximately $400,000 in expenses from the budget, but more recently he stated only $270,000 would be cut. And it'd be good to have the full details of the cuts. Why do we have a difference in the two figures? You know, are only essential items being presented to the board for purchase? What steps are being taken to tighten the budget and operate within our current revenue stream? I think as long as we're in deficit spending, we do need to tighten our budget up and stay there, because even if you would go for a levy and pass a levy, it's going to take time to collect that money. You know, we haven't seen the specifics of where the money will be spent. The board members-elect stated they had a plan, but they've not shared those details with the public. I just don't think the plan should be to have 2 huge tax levies on the agenda tonight for us to vote on without knowing where they're what their plan is. We just don't know what it is. I disagree with Mark Ryan's statements to the Alliance Review that, and I quote, "We need it. There is no doubt we need a levy." And further, Mr. Ryan said he disputes whether we need an earned income tax. The property tax is more evenly distributed among the community. I mean, is he saying he doesn't need the tax? And I would encourage him to do his homework and start sharing the facts with the community. In a rural district, an income tax levy is more evenly distributed than a real estate tax levy. Appears the new board members have set out a plan on going after the community for a huge amount of money and ignoring all the revenue sources that are on course to be received in the near future. At this point, we don't know what they want with this enormous amount of new money. I propose that if they want these levies, they pass them in January. There's plenty of time to get it done. According to Attorney Becky Prince-Horn, the levy resolution does not need submitted to the Board of Elections until February 2nd. So the first resolution would need submitted approximately 30 days prior to that, and that could be done in early January. So therefore, I'll be voting no on these multiple levy resolutions.
There was a lot of what-ifs in that narrative, Carolyn, and it sounds like a house of cards. We just don't know what could happen, and, you know, of course, that's always the story. We have the surplus or any balanced budget had to do with ESSER funds. That's government bailout money that we cannot count on. It's short-sighted to say, hey, we're fine right now, or it looks good right now. You can't do that with a $26 whatever million budget that we have. You have to move forward with things in order to stay ahead of the curve. Nexus monies, we've been told that even if we get that, even if that all comes in, it's going to be years, and we don't have years. We are already in the hole and continuing to do that. The beauty of this is that the voters do vote. And if there is a levy put on, that's absolutely right. They're going to be able to make that choice. We also know that we do know where the money's going. 73% of the school's budget goes to salaries. It's going to our teachers. If we don't have teachers, we don't have instruction, we won't have students, we won't have a district. It's that simple. We won't have a district if we don't have the students. And we need teachers to teach the students. That's what we're here for, education. So it's not something that like's all fuzzy. We have looked into this, and we're going to continue to do it. So I disagree with your narrative.
Any other questions or discussion?
My concern is putting all our eggs in one basket. That's what's gotten us in this trouble in the last few years anyway, is we're waiting for this to come through and this to come through. So if they want to, they just want to put it on there so we can table it for next one, or not table it, but if they want to talk about it next time, that's fine. I think to have a plan ahead is better than not having a plan at all and then chasing your tail. So I think that makes sense. However, my concern is if we go and put the levy on, and what happens if the levy doesn't pass? What's our next steps? I don't hear what our next options are. I think that's something that needs to be brought up for this meeting. What are the options are that happens if the levy doesn't pass? Because you're not getting answers for that. It's about the money and this. So what's the plan if there is no money? So that's what I need to hear. And if I got more, again, I'm all about getting all the information I can get. I'm not, many times, that's what you need to have to make a good decision about whether you're going to vote on it or not. And I'm not getting all that. I feel like I need more. I'm okay to table that. I want more information to see what the plan is if it doesn't pass. I want to have all that together.
Right, well, that would be forthcoming. And did you get Dr. Lake's email? He's given like all scenarios we would have to decide.
Well, what the email said, it says not to really disclose that. So,
right.
And I'm not, so I saw those ideas, but I think, that I need more information to say how that's going to go about. I guess I want more to know what we can and really can't do. If it's just a plan or if that's really where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would be forthcoming, and then again, if it goes to the voters to vote on that, that's what we do.
Right.
That's how you do it.
And that needs to be brought to them before that even happens. We even go up to even make that vote.
Right. Well, the campaign would definitely lay that out. Yes.
Just a couple clarifications. So I've over and over and over said what the money would be used for. It would be used to pay bills because we don't have any money. That's what the money will, that's like saying to a person who hasn't had a pay raise in 20 years, why do you want a pay raise? What are you going to use that money for when they're terribly in deficit? What are you going to use that money for? To live, to survive. That's what we're going to use the money for. I've said that over and over. I've put that in writing over and over again. We're going to use the money because we're falling off a cliff. And when public schools, that happens fast. $1.8 million is less than 1 month? Is that less? Isn't it $2 million a month that we spend? So imagine if you had 1 month's savings less than to pay 1 month savings, and it comes around again and you don't get a raise and everything. Have you been to the grocery store? Have you been to the gas pump? Have you seen the inflation? So imagine, what's the money? It's going to be used to pay our bills because we don't have any money. This is what Ohio has done. And the money they do have has gone to failing charter schools, it's gone to vouchers, it's going to parochial schools, it's going everywhere but where it should be going. And there's a little personal in there. So we have less, with the 1.8 million, might sound a lot, that's less than 1 month of expenses that we have in the bank, and that's not enough. We are fortunate to get ESSER dollars. Just so everyone knows, our neighboring district got like $15 or $18 million. They're almost the same size as us. Why did we only get 4.5 million? Does that make any sense? We get hatcheted all the time because we're a rural, land-rich district with just common people like you and me. So that's the way it's working in Ohio. So here we are. So I did give the board, I told the board about, well, what'll happen? There are a lot of things I keep saying. We will cut programs. Class sizes in elementaries will be 30, 35, 40, 45 kids in a class. And we will be down programs and down teachers. That's what will happen.
Yeah, we can't afford that anymore.
So, and we had a mass exodus of teachers last year. We had people leaving. We have the biggest turnover of administrators in Stark County. So this is such a great school district, but this is what we're left with. And I'm going to tell you, we all have different amounts of experience. I've been a superintendent 14 years. I've been dealing with this for even when I was an assistant superintendent. We do not, if you wait until January to pass the first resolution, there is no guarantee that it will be certified. The rule of thumb is 30 days in between, and we probably don't even have 30 days in between. So ultimately, it's up to the board. So you have more questions for me or for Patty, you can let me know.
I know, if I could, I know a few board meetings ago, we went over exactly the ESSER funds that were received and expended already. And if I could just revisit that, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we use these for kids, we use these to help us get through those periods, but some of that stuff will never go away. For the CRF fund, we received $117,000. We had to buy additional online curriculum. We had to buy health and safety supplies, which I don't foresee those going away. Those are now going to be continued expenses that we didn't have prior. We had to add additional nursing staff, which again, that's totally up to everyone else, but I don't know. My opinion is I'm not for sure this is the right time to cut a nurse, and that's an additional expense that we didn't have prior. We expended those in 2021. We had $151,466 in broadband grants, and that went to connectivity, and that pushed us to the one-on-one student ratio of computers. Those kids can, that expanded our instructional ability inside classrooms as well as outside. However, we didn't have that replacement at that level planned for because we didn't think we were going to get there. So now we have that reoccurring cost annually, which is again an additional cost. We had to, those were for iPads, connectivities, for carrying cases for kids so that they could take them back and forth. And again, this is to expand their learning ability and opportunities, not only inside but outside our classrooms. ESSER 1, we received $394,225. That was for, again, more iPads, more cases, more network infrastructure. I think we've talked about that before. Those are so old. Our access points, we had a lot of network connectivity going through those access points. We had to extend those out. We extended them to parking lots so that now our sports people can be doing homework when our kids can drive up and download their assignments in those parking lots, and those are being used. We expanded our infrastructure we replaced some of, I think, 2 of our servers, and we have other servers, we have backup servers, we have batteries, and I commend this district for going 18 years, but when you go 18 years, there is something that we have given up. And so there are deep-rooted things like infrastructure that we just need to work on. And we need to finish some of these repairs that we've started. COVID-2, we received $1.7 million. That went to existing staff. What we did was we took some of those staff that was on our general fund and we relieved those general fund, pushing out our cash option so that we'd have a little cash left. So those all went to existing staff members. Again, it was such a blessing to receive that money, but it's false hope for us because it only pushed that cash balance out, and people think that, and we're going to hit a brick wall when we do, and it's going to be fast and hard. So I'll just echo what Dr. Mike said, that it may appear that we're doing well, but if you add all these up, it's 2.4 million, and we're just not going to make that budget in the future years. because those are not going to go away.
And the
Many-
money's not guaranteed either. You're not gonna be guaranteed that same amount of ESSER fund every year.
Oh, those are
No,
one
that's
time.
done.
That's what I'm saying,
That's a
and
one-time,
who's to say they're gonna give any more money out?
they
And that's what I'm
probably
saying. Like,
won't.
You can't, again, like I said in the beginning of all this, you can't put your eggs in one basket.
Right now,
So
we
have a plan is what we need to do, so.
Right now, we have staff that is on Health and Wellness Fund. That went away. We're just fortunate that, again, we were able to save a little money, and now, this year, we're spending that money. Again, it makes it look like, it'll make it look like we have money to make a budget, that we really don't, because we saved that back. We also have some other things that our nurses are on, our counselors are on. You know, all of that is coming back in the next few years. It's coming right back onto our general fund. And I just want to make it plain that we do have other grants that's moving into this. We had to cut in our special education federal funds. We had to cut in our Title I funds. It's a constant moving target, and the trends, we can only report on the trends, and we can only report on what we see coming up. If you have questions for me.
No, thank you very much.
Just a couple of comments that I forgot to mention. So even if in a world we're perfect and we got more pipeline money, let me remind you that these buildings are old and they need millions and millions of dollars in repair. So let me remind you that there's where if we do get, and there's no way, my mother used to say a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. I don't want to count on these solar funds if we don't even, they haven't even started to build, we don't know where they're going to go. We can't, I think Mr. Mish said that, we can't count on that. We've got to count on today. And then I didn't mention before, think of all the bills you didn't have 20 years, the things, Patty, online learning, iPads. We didn't have those things 20 years ago. We didn't need those to be competitive. I stopped counting at 89 unfunded mandates that the state of Ohio, we just discussed another one today about dyslexia that's going to cost this district thousands and thousands of dollars unfunded. No extra funding, but here's a mandate that you have to do. So that's my opinion. That's my, and before I be quiet, and anybody, you folks, anybody that's listening, I tell you all the time, you are more than welcome to call my office and talk to me, discuss things with me, and or meet with me, whatever you want to do.
The motion on the agenda, is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the resolution determining to proceed with an issue of an emergency tax levy in the amount of $4 million and a 1.25% earned income tax as shown in Exhibits A and B?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this? The $4 million would be a minimum of 8 mills.
We'll have to wait until our valuations come in at the end of December.
What do
but
you anticipate?
I am anticipating in conversations, it's going to be about 6.2. Or, I'm sorry, 7.6. What did I say? Yeah, that's not even on my sheet.
I know where you.
7.6.
7.6.
Because Mike said dyslexia.
And you're asking for,
which
you're asking for 2 tax levies to be voted on, is that clear?
And
Is that what
I'm
it is?
sorry.
no, go ahead.
The thing is, it's a timing issue because we need the time for the taxes to be certified. So tomorrow, I have to get these out, and then before the second reading, so that we can get them into the Board of Elections. It's a certification piece, and I would love to say that I can tell you how long it's going to take the Ohio Department of Taxation and the county to certify these, but that's why it's a timing issue, that we don't want to run out of time.
I am not intending to ask you when the day is done to put both of these on.
But you'll have.
This
the
is an
ability-
option.
You'll have the
They
ability
would,
to
correct,
put
they
both
would,
these on
they
with
would.
this motion.
Sure, they would.
What we're asking them
They
to
would.
do is certify those, because we have to
Yes.
get them certified for you guys to move forward on any kind of resolution. And that will be what the second reading is. And at that point, then you could pick or choose. But we at least have to get the process started in order for them to have time to do that in a timely manner.
I mean, Karen, if you're concerned about it, I mean, I'm kind of concerned a little bit too. I mean, if that's, we get it in ball rolling, and we wait the second, the new board can come in, they can vote on it, whether they're gonna put on whatever they put on it.
Right, and they'll be able to put on both.
They can do however they want. But at least we're helping out, getting something going so our school can get what they need if they need it. I mean, if you think of it that way, it's just starting to roll and they can finish out and whatever goes is on them.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
No.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Passed 3-1.
The next item is not mine. I am not recommending this.
Second, policy reading non-discrimination. Is there a motion to discuss the second policy reading for non-discrimination policy outlined in Exhibit C?
This was tabled at the last meeting,
That's correct.
so it has to be voted out of being tabled by Robert's rules.
Is there a motion to move the second policy reading from the table to the agenda for the non-discrimination policy outlined in Exhibit C?
I do have a question. If we don't do that, will it just get tabled till next time? Yes or no?
I think we have to,
It's on the
we're going to have to
table. It's on the
retable it. What'd you say, Scott?
It's on the table. It can be brought back at any time there's a vote to call it back.
That's, yeah, I think that's where I would be.
Okay. All right, so this motion will remain on the table.
Okay, next item is new business. So about twice a year, we have a portfolio of any policies that are updated. I always tell the board, most of these, the legislature tells us, you have to do this, and then our policy group, Neola, helps us to do it. Some of them do have some choice, but a lot of them, it's just, as you can see, most of them say revised. We bring them up to date, and we do have the policy group, Neola, that does that for us, helps us with that. We did have a committee on these, all of these, where they were discussed. These have to go through 2 readings. Tonight would be the first reading for these, and I am open to any questions that you might have.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the following, what's this resolutions? It should say following policies from Volume 40, Number 1, August 2021, as listed below, and it'd be policy number 169.1 through 8740, and that's having pulled 5722 and adding the revision for policy 145, filling a board vacancy. The revision on that is below the second letter B in that policy. And we will strike, the sentence starts out, if the board fails to appoint a board member to its board within 30 days after the vacancy occurs, we'll strike the words, the Board of the Educational Service Center. That will be stricken and replaced with the probate court of the county. And then everything else is the same, in which the district is located upon being advised of the failure to fill the vacancy. So we'll strike the Board of the Educational Service Center, replace that with the probate court of the county. Is there a motion to approve the first reading of these policies?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Questions?
when the meeting went down there, there's nothing really that was majorly new that had major changes to it, correct? It was just more about wording that really got rearranged, so when oh, sorry. I can't hear over here either sometimes either, it's okay. So I guess my question is, was there major changes that everyone can hear what all these policies, you don't have to read every one of them.
No, I would say the most major change is the one that I pulled because the state's trying to decide what people can post and what publications are public, and because we have a lot more of them. Most of these, as listed, are simple things that the legislature says we have to do or clean up or revise what's already been in place.
Does this get our policies up to date?
This would bring up to date as far as I know, yes. Minus that one policy. And remember, you have a second reading. If anybody has any questions on specific ones, they're all in the portfolio that everybody can see. Let me know.
Dr. Bain, please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
Next, I have a resolution for you. A good thing that the state did for us is they've allowed the local board a little bit of leeway on substitute teachers. So as many of you probably know, we cannot get subs. It was hard to get subs before. Marlington was the lowest paid sub-district in Stark County, and that gap has really grown, which we're going to talk about a little bit here. This would allow the superintendent leeway to hire somebody that necessarily does not have a bachelor's degree to sub. And just so you know, there are cases where teachers don't necessarily have a bachelor's. They complete a program in our career tech. And we have people, that maybe were an engineer 30 years ago and didn't need, maybe they only needed an associate's degree. Or we have college kids that are just on the verge of graduating. So it's all at the superintendent's discretion. They still have to be fingerprinted and vetted. They still have to be approved by the board. I don't think we'll get a ton of these. I think we have 2 or 3 that have inquired, but it would give us a few more. And certainly, all of you know, there are people that don't have a bachelor's that are capable of being a substitute. And depending on the person, depend on what level. This resolution, Neola did help us out. This is the resolution they suggested. And I would like you to adopt this. This only applies to the end of this school year. And then I don't know where the state will go with it.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the resolution for the employment of substitute teachers as shown in Exhibit D?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
And then the next motion, again, temporarily, just for this school year. When we started the year, we were at $75 a day. And again, that was the lowest of anybody in Stark County. Everybody has gone up. I can give you a few examples. I know we're not at all like Canton City, but they're paying over $200 a day. My local Perry, $125 a day. I think Alliance is up to at least $125 a day. So I know Salem just raised theirs recently, so they're a neighboring out of Stark. So I would like you to raise, it might get us a few more people, and it really won't, 15 more a day shouldn't be that much on the budget. So I would like just to the end of the school year to raise it to 100 a day for our subs, and that would take effect immediately, starting tomorrow then.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to temporarily raise the certified substitute rate for the 21-22 school year to $100 per day effective immediately?
So moved.
Second.
Who
Is there
seconded?
any discussion? Since this is for the full 21-22 school year, do we have to go back and raise everyone that we paid up to this point?
No, it would just go
Doing it at
forward,
meeting.
yeah.
Just go forward? Is there any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes?
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
And the next one, I'll just kick off, but this one, I always tell boards, this part, naming rights totally belong to the board. You're the folks who know your community, know your people, and the board, I don't think I got one, but the board all got a packet with the suggestion of naming our softball field for Bill Coe. Did I say that right, Bill Coe? And I happen to know him just a little bit. I know he's a fine man just to talk to, and I didn't know that he had such a history with our softball program. But I'm gonna turn it back over to the board. A couple of you asked me, can we at least put this out there? Not that you have to decide tonight, but if anybody wanted to say anything about naming the softball field.
Well, I brought it up. I know we got this the first time I came to the meeting, this came up, and I was like very interested in how this was gonna go. Some good stuff to go for our school. I was really impressed with what the coach's resume was and all the things that he had done. I'm not a Marlington grad. I don't know this gentleman. I'm sure I had many people I went to school with played against him. But I would like to say, I'm all for naming something for this gentleman. He's earned it. My concern is maybe not the field, maybe something else like an honoring thing for him, like some kind of monument or something, or another spot. My concern is because what if we get a girls softball coach comes in and blows his records out the door or something like that, and I hate to take name something after a gentleman and then have to take it away from him. If you earn something, I like to keep that there for that person. So that was only my concern with. I think he should have something to honor all his hard work for our school. So, and I talked to Josh about it a little bit. He knew the coach, and he had nothing but high esteem and praise for him. So, and on that note, that sold me for making sure we should do something genuine for this guy, that our school should honor him for all the things he did for us.
And Mr. Coe is the coach of the first state championship team at Marlington. So the other state championship team.
Our young ladies, yes. And that was 1996? Is that correct, somewhere in there?
In the 90s, yeah.
I believe I looked at. I think it was 96, I did look.
So are you needing action for this?
That's
or-
totally, someone would have to make a motion, or we can bring it forward. But I thought Mr. Mish made a good point. Let's bring it on the table and make sure that you know that, so that's totally up to the board.
The question is, I know the girls softball field's there, but what other, buildings are there we can name him after? Or is there a scoreboard we can make for him or something? Or maybe this person with his name on the scoreboard, or maybe a announcing table, something we can build for him, something. I didn't know, just to get the ball rolling, we could start figuring out what we could do for this gentleman that worked so hard for us.
Okay. How about if I prepare a list of options for you, and we could do many different things. I don't think we need a motion for it. I'll prepare it, and then we'll bring it. I'll make sure it's brought back up.
Well, he's the only coach that brought state championship to this high school. He deserves it. My daughter was on that state championship team. I know all these girls who played on that team.
Isn't that what we're kind of doing?
Yeah.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, yeah, Yeah, some sort of, some kind of honoring of the coach.
To be determined.
To be
at a later
determined
date.
later date or whatever, but we have something going for him,
Okay.
yes.
Second.
Thanks.
Can you restate your motion? Can you restate what you have in your motion? Did you get that, Patty, or can you say
Yeah.
it? Or do you want to restate it?
Yes, the motion is to honor Coach Bill Coe, to be determined, in the manner to be
In the
determined.
manner to be determined for, his service.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0. That was Mish and Humphries, right?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
I think you're up.
You got that?
Dr. May.
All right, Treasurer's Agenda, Dr. Patty Ming.
Okay, the first one on the agenda is to approve the November 18th, 2021 work session, special session, as well as the regular session. There is one correction on the second. That would be on the second policy reading. I need to change Josh Hagan from a yes to a no. He voted no. That was my mistake. I apologize.
Is there a motion to approve the following meeting minutes as presented, Exhibits E and F, special work session November 18th, regular meeting November 18th, and the regular meeting will be with the correction on the second policy reading on the vote for Josh Hagan should be no.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0. The last item on the treasurer's agenda is to approve the financial reports. They are attached. The first, did you want to make a motion?
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendation for the financial reports and overviews of receipts and expenditures for the periods ending November 30th, 2021, as shown in Exhibits G through I?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Dr. May?
Thank you. The first document attached is our balance sheet, which you, at the bottom, you'll see that we did balance this month. The second sheet is just the checks that we have written throughout the month. Nothing out of the ordinary, but I do want to call attention to, there's one on the front, 137210. That was paid by Esser. And also on the very last page, 137332. Again, those are our nurses that are being picked up by a grant-funded program. The next document just shows the financial report of our cash balances. Again, I always say it's nice just to scan that for the second column, month-to-date receipts versus expenditures, and then also for year-to-date receipts and expenditures.
Are there any questions? Regarding the finance reports, could you give us a brief update on the capital projects fund, where we are with the balance on that?
Yes. I think I sent you a document out. There was a beginning balance of 1.1 million. We had the fall receipts that came in, approximately 853,000. We expended the extra payment of 450,000 in December, on December 1st, as well as there's some asbestos removal and other miscellaneous repairs that were charged during our repairs and our upgrades. If you look at the ending balance is the cash available. We have some encumbrances, just the timing of getting the books, et cetera. It's not right now showing our December payment, which we will do that during December. So December and June payments are still in the second to last column for encumbrances, which again, you'll see that move once we balance the books at the end of the month for December, as well as the overage payment to PlugSmart. And that had a lot to do with the electrical upgrades and a few of the change orders that you saw. And we have a bit of painting, and then we have a bit of abatement left that's kind of come out of that 35,000. So I think I made the comment that we have about 530,000 right now.
So 530,000 would be available to put as an additional principal payment
For expenditures, yes.
that's available.
It's available to expend, yes.
Okay. I move to amend this motion to pay an additional $530,000 principal payment on the consumer's lease purchase out of the Capital Projects 070 account to be paid by December 31st.
Do we want that in the financial reports, or do we want to vote on the reports and then make it a separate
Do
motion?
you want that a separate motion? I can make, is that easier to do a separate motion?
It's up to you.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and call the roll on the motion for the reports and exhibits G through I then.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Abstain?
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved. 3, 1 abstain.
Okay, under the financial reports, I make a motion, I move to authorize the treasurer to pay $530,000 from the 070 Capital Projects Fund as principal payment onto the consumer's lease purchase to be paid by December 31st. Is there a second?
Is this the same amount of money that we had talked about in October that we were putting aside?
It's more money, it's more money than we talked about in October because they now have all the expenses in and
Right,
and they
but
know what it is.
but this was the other half of it, correct?
We paid,
Correct.
we've already paid 450.
I
We had
understand.
over, we had
I know
900.
that, but we had also talked about putting half of it away just in case we had extra expenditures going out. So again, why are we spending the extra expenditures in case we have something else coming up for the rest of the year? I know we want to pay it on our principal balance, we've already discussed that, but we all agreed that we'd have that extra money just in case something else came up with the repairs. So why are we now just going to
But
just
we
dump it
already
into the?
know, they've already balanced it out and they know what the bills are for
But that's not the end of the
December.
school year.
And if there's additional abatement costs.
Right, there's
that
more
are
money we
being-
have to pay out,
at
because
Lexington.
there's other repairs that have to be done yet, we still have to pay that, so why would we use that money and put it away? We have it to make the repair. Does that make sense?
No. Say that again?
We have, well, that money's not, well, why would we put an extra payment on something that we need that money to make repairs with? When we have extra money coming in later, we'll have money to pay the next payment, correct?
Yes.
We'll get
that's
enough, we'll
already
get
in.
more revenue in February or March for the next payment, and that will be more than enough for the additional, if there would be the abatement.
I think that we had already agreed that we were going to wait on that. I think spending it and putting it into that right now is not what it needs to be. It needs to go for what the repairs are. She's been talking about having extra money for just in case. That's what that was for.
Right, but she said through December, and we were going to decide in December, she would have all the bills compiled, so she would know how much we could put on the principal. We have a resolution to put, there's board resolution in place to put the extra money as principal payment onto the lease purchase.
I think we should put a motion to put it towards, for the rainy day fund still, so I guess we have to figure out how we want to do that.
You wouldn't need a motion for that, but just,
I agree.
just my 2 cents, just remember the Lexington wastewater treatment plant is on its last leg. Just,
How much
I
is-
don't know. Patty's more the expert of how much we would have to work
Right.
with that.
How much do we have? We have the permanent improvement fund. What do we have in that one? It was 800,000 or 900,000, I thought you said.
Should be able to do some. We have 890,000 in permanent improvement.
One more time, 890?
890,000. Dr. Mike and I
We have a
are-
point of order. We had a motion and there was no second to it. So we can't be discussing a motion that hasn't been seconded.
Good point.
Motion dies for lack of second.
Okay, personnel? And we had a tiny bit of discussion about this. If you're all okay, there are just a few personnel. I know it takes 9 lines, but are you okay voting on all the personnel in one? And just let me know if something comes up that not. So we'll go through these. We have a certified retirement. Susan Buhite is our gifted intervention specialist. She had a little bit of a career before and then 25 years of service to Marlington, and we wish her all the best of luck. So Susan will be retiring. We have a tutor resignation, Jennifer Maley, effective 11/29. We have supplemental resignation and adjustments. So Mark Gouling, head football coach, resigning effective 12/16, and Melissa Graham, middle school track, 12/7. Those are just the resignation. Certified hire. So I am recommending that you now employ Jennifer Maley, intervention specialist, step 5, effective 11/30, and that is the spot that Mrs. DeRamo vacated just recently. We have a permanent sub, Olivia Moore. She will be at Marlboro because we lost the permanent sub there. The effective date is there. And then the preferred sub, which are the subs that just say, we will only come to Marlington. They don't come every day, but they'll only come. That's Jean Stickler. We're adding her as preferred. Classified sub, Elaine Hawthorne. She can classify any classified position. And then here's the supplemental changes. Mark Gouling is going from 0.5 to 0.25, and then Mike Rizzoletti from 0.5 to 0.75 for site coordinator. And Tyler Kwansnicka, we originally put him on track coach step 1, but he should be on step 2. I didn't realize he had a break in service that he had done that before. And then this transfer has to go on the board agenda. So Valerie Casto will become the new head cook at the high school, and she will be on step 5.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the certified retirement, tutor resignation, supplemental resignations, certified staff hire, permanent substitute, preferred certified substitute, classified substitute, supplemental changes, and transfers as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to, I think it's Kwasnicka is how you say, and there's a Z in there.
Did you spell that wrong? That's a tough one. We'll make sure it's proper in the.
Yeah, that correction. But, and also, I just wanted to say about Susan Buhite. She was my daughter's teacher when she was in middle school. Went 3 years with her, and my daughter considered her the best teacher she had while at Marlington. So I just want to thank her for her service and wish her the best.
Yes, I would agree. I think she's done a great job. She's been here a long time, and I think it's good to recognize her. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
Okay, if I could have your permission, I would like a couple minutes to mainly recognize our outgoing board members, but quickly first, the pine arrangements you have in front of you, those were made by our horticulture students, and as you know, and also the poinsettias out front, those were grown from, I don't know what the proper term, from saplings to what you see there, and they do such a nice job. So the pine arrangement is a little Christmassy holiday gift from Patty and I for all of you. And then at the end, when everything's over, anybody who wants a poinsettia, you're welcome to take those. I always tell people that being a school board member is a thankless job. They really don't get paid. It takes a lot of hours. It takes a lot of patience and time to do the job right. So it is considered the lowest office, I believe, that you can run for, but it should be held in the highest esteem because school board members are so much more important than a lot of people recognize. So tonight, we have 3 people that have given service to this board that we would like to recognize. And Patty, would you like to join me? And the first one, Matt Mish. Matt, if you would come up. So Matt stepped in when we had a board resignation and was not only a placeholder, but a very active member of the board. And we appreciate it. What a hard job to step in like that. We appreciate what you have contributed, and we have a little gift for you. It's Happy's candy. I got it before they closed, so this is good stuff. So Matt, it has been my pleasure working with you. Thank you. Thank you.
My wife will enjoy this.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patty. Appreciate it.
I had to pick something very special for Dr. Mason. Dr. Mason, if you would come up, please.
Oh, he gets that, I get candy? Really? You know I can't eat that stuff. Come on.
I didn't know that, I'm sorry. This says, Dr. Scott Mason, thank you for your service, Marlington Local Schools. And when I saw this, I thought immediately of our scientists on the board. Again, it has been, I've worked with a lot of board members. It has been a pleasure getting to know you, the work you do for our community, and we thank you wholeheartedly, Dr. Mason. So when the light comes on, and then Mrs. Gabrick. If you would like to come up and join us up here. So this one also says, Carolyn Gabrick, thank you for your service, Marlington Local Schools. And this is, it does have a little motor that blows, but it's a snow globe with a star. And that's 16 years is a long time to serve on a school board. So this comes from the community to you, Mrs. Gabrick, for your years of service. Thank you. I think that's it.
Matt,
Unless you-
Do you want to say a few words? Any
I'll let you
words
go.
in parting?
You do 16 years, you can start. I just want to take time to say thanks for, you guys giving me a shot to help out and do my thing and stepping up. I appreciate, guys recognizing that, that I'm just here to make a difference. And, it takes a lot of gumption to get up there and take a lot of heat from the whole community, It's quite the task, but, it is a thankless job, but it's okay because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we teach our kids to do. Hopefully my kids learn their lesson from this, that, you have to step up to help your community out and do the things you have to do. So, thanks.
Dr. Mason?
Well, I appreciate the gift, Dr. Mike. I've learned to appreciate people, a lot of people, and in a world that is becoming less and less civil, finding people that are civil is nice, and we can disagree and we can agree and we can get along. Getting to know the people we've worked with, superintendents, treasurers, administrators, fellow board members. I've appreciated all of that, and I've enjoyed working with all of you on this. And yeah, Matt, I thank you for stepping up into a difficult time. Carolyn, I appreciate all your years of service. I just don't know. I'll tell the community now, it was my second board meeting when I knew I wasn't going to run again.
Oh,
I realized you have certain services and certain abilities, and I didn't feel comfortable in any of it, but again, serving and putting the children first and keeping in mind that's why we were doing this. That's what I've come to appreciate in all that happens for the kids. So thank you.
I want to thank the community and all the board members for the opportunity to serve this community for 16 years. And I just want to let the board and the district, Dr. Mike and Patty, know that I was able to achieve another award for the district. And it's the OSBA award that I achieved the Full Star Board Award and the Master Board Award during the past 3 years. And this will be officially presented to the school in the spring. The OSBA Star Award is a district award that is comprised of service, training, aptitude, and recognition. And as you know, I got the 2 awards earlier, and I completed it this fall. At the end of Capitol Conference, I had achieved the rest of that. And then having achieved all of this in a 3-year period will gives you the Master Board Award, and that will be presented to the district in the spring. This is the first award of its kind to be earned at Marlington, and it's only the second one to have been earned in Stark County. It's an honor to have the opportunity to serve the Marlington community along with our outstanding teachers, staff, administration, and board members, and to be able to give the district this prestigious award as I leave. So thank you very much. Executive session. Is there a motion for the Marlington Local School District Board of Education to recess into executive session pursuant to Revised Code 121.22G1 to consider the employment and evaluation of public employees? All matters discussed in the executive session are designated to public officials and employees as confidential pursuant to Revised Code 102.03B because of the status of proceedings and/or circumstances under which the information will be received, and preserving its confidentiality is necessary to the proper conduct of government business.
Actually, I suggest we table it till all the 5 board members are with us, if that's a possibility.
So you are,
I want
your
a
motion is to table.
Table till either a meeting or special meeting or whatever, but to table it until all 5 that could be here and present. I think that's fair across the board for evaluation.
I second that.
Is there any discussion on tabling the motion? Please call the roll on motion to table until all 5 board members are present.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Karen? Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
We have a second.
Yeah, Karen's.
Karen second.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right. 4-0, approved.
Okay, so this isn't actually election, but appointment of president pro tem for the organizational meeting. Do we have someone that wishes to be appointed?
I nominate Mrs. Humphries. She's the only one here.
Is there a second?
Sure. Yes.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll on the appointment of president pro tem for the organizational meeting will be Karen Humphries.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes?
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Technically, you shouldn't vote for that. Abstain.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
The next Board of Education, the organizational meeting. Have we cleared?
I would like to ask the board, on behalf of the new board, if we could make that January 6th at a time to be determined now.
The time to be determined now.
Yeah, the time of day. I don't know what time you would suggest, but I would like to ask you to make that January 6th.
So what time?
you want to do a regular time, 6:30? Is that what you guys?
Mrs. Humphries,
We can set it for that, sure.
6:30?
Sure.
So the motion to be, the organizational meeting would be January 6, 2022 at 6:30.
And you've checked with
Yeah.
Mr. Hagan? He can take,
I believe I've checked with all of them, yeah. I'm almost sure,
okay.
yes.
And then, do we want to schedule a special meeting to wrap up any business and
Could you
do
vo- do we
the final
need-
year-end evaluation?
Do we need to, I'm sorry, do we need to vote on the organizational meeting, or is that?
I don't think
not
so.
sure? Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, Patty's got, do we need to make a motion for that? You've got it here that it's
You
got to
put
be a
it in as a
motion.
motion.
I don't think it
All right,
matters
I mean, we
either way.
can. That
Maybe
way
go
it's
ahead.
done.
That way it's,
We can just
it
do
wouldn't
it.
hurt.
Is there a motion to have the organizational meeting on January 6, 2022 at 6:30 PM?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
And the special meeting to finish any business for the end of the year and do the evaluation that was tabled and the policy that was tabled.
I'll motion for it just in case we need to, if there's something that needs tied up, so I'll,
All
I'm for
right,
that.
so give me some dates. I'd say the week after Christmas.
I would say the week before January, just to tie up, there's some other things we have to figure, whatever the ending stuff that we have to do, then it's all off and the new board gets a free slate, so. So what that would be.
So what day do you want? The week of the 27th, Monday's the 27th, we've got 28th, 29th, 30th.
Just so you know, I will not be here
Yeah.
those
Okay.
days.
Not a bad time of year. It's
I
kind of a bad
wasn't
time.
expecting that, so
No.
I'm sorry. And I believe it would have to be before January 1st.
Correct.
Well, I guess, Dr. Mike, my concern is to make sure all that gets wrapped up that needs to
Sure,
be wrapped
sure,
up.
I
So
understand.
If
I understand.
we need a special session for it, then that's what I'm saying, but if we
Okay.
don't, then I'm okay with that, but I'd rather make sure everything's all tied up on my end, because, being off the board, I'm sure Dr. Mason wants anything else. He wants to have tied up on his end too, just to make sure that, again, to make sure the new board has, they're free and clear to do what they have to do, so.
If there's an issue.
So do you
we
want
can
20?
call.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, if we do phone calls or something, if there's something we have to sign up, but the evaluation stuff, I guess that's something we can turn in, like if there's like a questionnaire that can be turned out for us to do, then we can just submit it. I think
It
that
would need
that would make a
submitted
good thing.
within a meeting to become part of the personnel file.
Actually, just a point of order, those do not go in the personnel file. They have to, individual board member comments are not a public record. They have to be compiled into one approved by the board. I'm sorry, just so you know.
No, that's okay.
Just so you know.
So what's your schedule, Matt?
I'm free whenever, I can make it work no matter what, so it doesn't matter. So I guess it just depends, if they can't do it, then we'll play it by ear, because what if one of us can't be here still, and we're gonna run into that time when someone can't be here, so. I guess we'll play it by ear for that week and one of the weeks and see what happens. If no one can go and someone's sick, then just like we have now, then,
And we can just call that
okay,
later up. We'll set that later then.
sounds good.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Gabrick?
Yes.
Mrs. Humphries?
Yes.
Dr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Mish?
Yes.
Approved, 4-0.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Have a great Christmas.
You too.